Today I fucked up driving naked. Throwaway account in case I regret this post as much as I regret what prompted it. TLDR below. Sorry for the length. Didn't realize all this word vomit would end up being somewhat cathartic. Last night I decided to get into my car completely naked. I had one job. Meet my GF at her place. Drive us back to my place. End of story. No stripping required. However, as the day was coming to an end, the anticipation of spending time alone with my GF was clouding my judgment. All of a sudden I was horny and thinking it would be kind of kinky to show up naked behind the wheel and saying something silly like, "Excuse me, mom, did you call an Uber X?" Was rock hard thinking about the risk factor and how my GF would react. I imagined her laughing at the absurdity but also being somewhat turned on by the nudity. I wasn't too worried about other people catching me because my plan was not to interact with anyone else and to stay in the car until I was back inside my garage. I realized I fucked up the moment I pulled into the parking bay and noticed my GF standing in the rain with an umbrella and her two roommates huddled underneath. All of them were frantically waving at me like, "OMG, please hurry, it's pouring." I had two choices: proceed as planned and accept my fate, or preserve my dignity and leave my GF and her roommates in the rain. I drove my naked ass out of there feeling conflicted as fuck. In my defense, there was never any mention of roommates joining us. My GF called and assumed I didn't see them somehow. I apologized and explained, albeit fearfully, why she just witnessed me drive away without her. I promised I'd be back to pick them up in 30 minutes or less, fully dressed. It was tricky trying to pinpoint if my GF was entertained or annoyed during that phone call. That being said, I couldn't help but feel like I was pushing her buttons when I asked her to lie to her roommates about my reason for fleeing the premises. My GF said it wouldn't be necessary to tell lies because she had me on loudspeaker the entire time. Crickets. I fucking died inside. I could hear the roommates laughing in the background before one of them said, "Tell him to turn around." At that moment, another call came through. Unknown number. My saving grace. Or so I thought. I said goodbye to my GF and discovered it was my mother, who didn't realize she was still using her work phone after hours. My mom asked where I was because she just arrived at my place. I said I wasn't home and stressed what a bad time it was for her to pop in unannounced. She said she had leftover lasagna for me, my favorite. I said I'd be home in a few minutes and made it clear that when I arrive I'm gonna drive directly into my garage and open the front door from the inside. I emphasized that she should remain in her car, out of the rain, and under no circumstances should she approach me until she saw me in the house looking decent. My mom approached me as soon as she heard me honk. Her vehicle was blocking my driveway, but instead of getting out of the way so I could access my garage and avoid being seen in the nude, she got out of her car without warning and marched to my car with a plate of lasagna wrapped in tin foil. I was tempted to drive away again, but I didn't have the balls to abandon both women in my life on the same night in the same way. I rolled down my window and said, "Mother, stop." She did not stop. Not until she realized I was wearing nothing but my seatbelt. I asked her to please move her vehicle and not ask questions. She caught me naked. Of course she asked questions. Lots of questions. I made it sound like it was nothing more than a dumb prank between friends, but my mom was convinced I was under the influence of her nemesis, Satan. I knew what that meant. She was using Satan as a metaphor to describe my GF, which she's done before. Usually I'd bite and we would argue, but I didn't have time to dive into that debate because once I was done getting dressed, I had to leave again. On my way out, my mom proceeded to pray out loud. I froze at the door and had to wait until she was done updating God about yet another classic example of how her son was being tempted by the flesh into committing acts of indecency. As usual, it was over-the-top theatrics and passive-aggressive slut-shaming towards my GF. Somehow all of this was her fault, not mine. I was just a victim of a Jezebel. It took everything in my power not to lose my shit during that prayer. Fast forward to the most uncomfortable car ride of my life. My GF didn't really make conversation, or eye contact, other than asking if I didn't mind dropping her roommates at the mall. I could tell she was embarrassed by me. It was my first time meeting her roommates in person and it was obvious they didn't know how to behave around me. I apologized to all of them for my actions and promised never never to leave my house naked again. Not gonna lie, acknowledging what I did made it even more awkward. Got 0 replies. Just forced smiles. My GF turned on the radio instead of talking to me. Due to the bad weather we had one radio station available. Talk station. So, there we all were, awkwardly listening to people who suffer from misophonia discuss how disturbing specific sex sounds were to them. Fuck last night. TLDR made plans to pick up my GF. Got horny thinking about her. Decided to drive naked as a sexy surprise. Realized my GF was waiting for me with her roommates. Left them all in the rain to go home and put on something to wear. Got caught by my religious mom who happened to be at my house. Had to listen to her badmouth my GF with Satan metaphors and prayer. Got dressed. Returned to my GF and her roommates. Cue awkward car ride. At least you didn't get pulled over. Yeah, when I saw the L tag I assumed this would end with a sexual offender charge or something. Moral of the story, new dude looks crude, mom's rude, gets screwed. And that's why son you always keep an emergency poncho in the glove box. Backup plan. Always have one, or, in your case, backup clothes. Even in the smallest car there's room for them. What can go wrong will go wrong. My philosophy, if you've got to do something stupid, do it smartly. Plan ahead, have an egress route, and be ready for anything. Edit, to give credit where it's due, USMC Liberty Briefs. Liberty being our days off after the work week, brief in the sense of a meeting/speech. My favorite part was I cannot under any circumstance meet you right now mother I have lasagna I'll be 1 minute. Today I fucked up by being a guy who hasn't dated anyone in years. I went on a 3rd date with a fantastic girl and we kissed and hugged and cuddled. I recently started dating her and it's been a long time since I've been in physical contact with the opposite sex. The date sounds pleasant doesn't it? Well, I'm the middle of just talking with our arms around each other. I look down and see a wet spot. Oh, I think I know what that is. A few minutes later the spot gets larger and it gets bigger. I'm going to adjust my legs and it's pretty evident it's there. What do I do being the genius person I am? I tell her, hey I'm a bit wet sorry. I said it BC I figured she'd see it anyways. Luckily she understands and is pretty chill about it. Thank God. But yeah that was not fun. It was embarrassing BC it was in public and pretty evident what it was. Luckily it dried off in time. Weird thing is I like her a lot, but I wasn't thinking of anything other than hugging her at that time. Guys it's pre-cum not actual cum. Update, she's my GF now, so it wasn't all that bad. Update 2. I didn't expect this to get this famous. I sent her the link and she's laughing out loud with me. Smiley face, wholesome, smiley face. Too long didn't read, hadn't gone on a date in years and ended up getting my pants wet. And I jizzed in my pants. Remember when you were making out with your first girlfriend and you came right when she touched your leg? It was me, Barry. I jerked you off at super speed so it looked like you nutted at just a woman's touch. Update, she's my GF now, so it wasn't all that bad. 0 to 100 took 4.5 months of begging, just kidding. I have a somewhat similar story. Years ago when I was around 20 years old started talking to a girl. Went out on a date and due to my work schedule, was on call. It looked like I was going to work at like 2 in the morning. So instead of dropping her off at her house and driving 45 minutes back home then coming back to the same area for work she let me sleep at her place. Mind you we had only been talking for a couple weeks and went out on our first date that same night which went well. Oh we sleep in the same bed and me being the young horny dude I am I was probably dreaming about the stuff I would like to do with this attractive girl being that she was half naked sleeping right next to me. Next thing I know I wake up and my underwear and her blanket are soaked from having a wet dream. First time I've ever even had this happen and of course it's the first night I'm staying with this girl who I've not even had any sexual interaction with. I I try my best to slip out of bed and go to the bathroom, freaking out to see if I can clean myself up without her noticing. But of course she wakes up though because she's a light sleeper, and I basically just explain what happened. To my surprise she just laughed and said it was fine and proceeded to take the bed sheets and blanket to the washer and grab some new blankets. Never been so embarrassed in my life. Dude, I'm glad she was chill about it. Would you like to swap usernames? Ha 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 ha. Today I fucked up by accidentally flashing my enormous milk-producing breasts to a teenage Target employee. I may have accidentally committed a felony today by inadvertently exposing myself to a teenage boy. I recently had a baby, and in an effort to maximize time, I often pump for breast milk while I'm driving. Earlier today I had to pick up a Target drive-up order just as I was finishing my pumping session. I pulled into the parking spot and clicked the I'm here button in the app, figuring I'd have a few minutes to get pumping wrapped up and put away. I shouldn't have underestimated Target's customer service. Within 20 seconds a pubescent teen boy was staring at me through my driver's seat window, mere inches from my milk-splattered, grotesque postpartum breasts, which could probably more accurately be described as bazungas. His face told an epic story only a seasoned author could conjure. 1. Confusion. 2. Skeptical confusion as he stared directly at my nipples being sucked into the transparent flanges like a profane cow. 3. Horror. 4. Massive embarrassment. I have a feeling he will be conjuring this story to a therapist someday. TLDR, I didn't get my pumping session wrapped up soon enough and flashed a teenage Target employee with my milk-producing bazungas. You should copyright this story before Pornhub gets a hold of it. Removed. A new core memory. Core memory. I'll see myself out now. I had a breastfeeding mother spray me in the face with breast milk while I was sitting on the bus in Costa Rica. She was outside nursing and didn't put her breast all the way away while she boarded, and it hit the seat in front of me and sprayed me. The guy next to me laughed his ass off and said leche. I was trying to get my pack of tissues out and trying not to get it in my mouth. I couldn't resist to bust out laughing at the word leche. I had a new breastfeeding mother have one of her full breast pop out of her top when she went down to pick up her kid's toy that fell on the floor. She was horrified and apologized profusely. So I can imagine what you went through. Teen will tell the story of your breast for years to come. 10 years from now, the boy will be commenting on a Reddit thread just like this one, giving the same story you are, and the circle of slipped nips shall be complete.